I think we're all hoping for the same thing heading into this weekend, which is, hey, maybe that Bedlam win on Wednesday night, where OU played really, really well, by the way, is going to be a huge turning point of the season, and this team is about to turn it on for the stretch run. A road test this weekend in Alabama will give us a good idea of where this team is currently at, as the Sooners will play a Saturday, Sunday, Monday series against the Crimson Tide. OU enters the weekend at 35-3, 9-3 in SEC play, while the Tide are at 28-15 with a 5-7 SEC record. Let's get to the 5 biggest storylines of the weekend, but first, please like the video, subscribe to the channel for more OU softball content, drop a comment as to what your OU Bama weekend prediction is. So there's definitely a part of me, and I don't think I'm the only one, that feels like what we saw in Oklahoma City is a sign of things to come for this team. And I hope that ends up being true, because that version of OU, the one that we saw against Oklahoma State, I believe that version is good enough to win another national championship. So that's my main storyline and question for this series. Do we see that version of OU again? Do we see this team pass the bat? Do we see this team have some of its best at-bats of the entire year and draw walks after fouling off several pitches? Do we see this team absolutely crush the ball to all fields? And that was just the offense. But even though OU has won 35 games this year and is ranked number 2 in the country, hey, they've been really good. But that win just felt a little bit different than most of the wins this year. And I think we all felt that. Heck, even Patty Gasso seemed more giddy than normal in the post-game press conference. So I think we're all hoping we see that this weekend. And if that team shows up in Tuscaloosa, I think our excitement level moving forward is only going to grow. And frankly, if what we saw on Wednesday carries over to Alabama this weekend, I think the Sooners will win all 3 games. But there's some things that need to happen as OU pursues its best softball of the year. Being better at catcher is definitely one of those. I see the comments, and I appreciate you guys always bringing them every single video. But the only complaint that I've seen this week is that OU isn't getting enough production out of that position right now. And I think it's a very fair criticism. Emmerling didn't have her best night on Wednesday, 0 for 3 at the plate, and OSU was moving runners on the base paths, 3 stolen bases in that game. Maybe OU makes a change at catcher, or at least gives someone else a start against Alabama. But to me, just based on what we've seen, it feels like Emmerling is going to be the main option at catcher in the immediate future. This is going to be a big test for her this weekend. Alabama has, by far, the most stolen bases in the SEC with 96, and Audrey Vandergriff has 45 of those by herself, which leads the SEC. Emmerling has to be sharp this weekend behind the plate and not allow Vandergriff and Alabama to just run all over him. Do I hope Isabella Emmerling is better at the plate? Well, yeah, of course I do. She takes big swings, and we've seen both the risks and rewards with that. But defensively, this is going to be one of the biggest challenges that Emmerling has had in her career. You know, on the same line of OU looks awesome in Bedlam, I hope it's a sign of things to come. 1 week ago, I was saying the exact same thing about Ella Parker after she hit a grand slam against UCF. Well, hoping that this is a very good omen, Parker came back against Oklahoma State and had her best night at the plate since SEC play began, at least. And I don't just say that because she was 3 for 3 with a walk and a couple of RBIs. It's also because out of all the hard hit balls in her career, and there's been a lot, by the way, the ball she hit up the middle was the hardest hit ball of the season for her and maybe even her entire career. That ball was smoked. And how about how well she moved on Wednesday as well? She got a hit to the shortstop in the first inning. She even scored from first to third later on in the game. She's not 100%. And maybe she won't be at any point for the rest of the year. But she's changed shoes, and it seems like it's had a very positive effect thus far. And maybe she's just used to playing through the injury at this point. Regardless, a big piece in us feeling like OU is charging towards its best softball is because we think Ella Parker could be back. And that version of Ella Parker takes this offense to a different level. She hasn't been great in SEC play this year. That's not a secret. But I can't wait to see if Ella Parker is back in a big way this weekend in Tuscaloosa. And if she is, that's bad news for Alabama. What's next from Audrey Lowry? We didn't see her on Wednesday and haven't seen her since she made her return last Friday against UCF. She was fantastic in that appearance, by the way. 2 1/3 innings, didn't allow a hit, and maybe most importantly, no walks. It looked like she was never injured and didn't miss any time whatsoever over the course of the past month. Well, what do you get this weekend? Because we haven't seen her in SEC play since she wowed us against South Carolina. Will she start a game? Will she be mainly used in a reliever role? I think this is very important and why it's one of my 5 main storylines this weekend. Because if OU plays well this weekend, and a big reason is because Audrey Lowry gives you a great start, think of how you're going to feel about this team moving forward. You'll probably start to feel a lot more at ease as to who the number 2 starter is going to be with this team. Not that Alabama has an elite offense, but it's going to be a nice road test this weekend. It will. And if Audrey Lowry performs well, it's going to be a huge boost for this team in its national championship pursuit. I don't think I've done a good enough job of giving Kasidi Pickering the credit she deserves over the last few weeks. Because right now, she may be the hottest hitter in all of the SEC. Pick is on a 14-game hitting streak, and the stats will tell you that she hit just 1 home run against Oklahoma State on Wednesday. She actually hit 2. Redneck Peril, who I and you guys love in the comments, pointed out to me that she's hitting close to over 800 the last few games, which is just absolutely insane. She also hit in the leadoff spot on Wednesday and performed really well, by the way. Will be interesting to see if that continues. Pickering leads the SEC in on-base percentage and OPS. Her on-base percentage is at .606 right now. She's second in the SEC in both walks and slugging percentage. She's having an All-American type season, and we need to talk about it more because she's been special, and this team has needed her production with some going through a slump in SEC play. Let's keep it rolling, Pick. I hope that hot streak continues on the road at Alabama this weekend. Okay, 3 things about Alabama. First, what's their biggest weakness? I'd probably say defense. Haven't been a great defensive team this year by the numbers. They rank 14th in the SEC in fielding percentage at .958. You can't give OU extra outs and extra opportunities. Bama will need to have one of their best defensive performances of the entire season. What's Bama's biggest strength? I told you about the SEC leading 96 stolen bases, with almost half of those coming from Audrey Vandergrift, and I do think that's their biggest strength, their ability to create chaos on the base paths. They can make things happen and make you make mistakes as well. So as important as Alabama's defense will be for their chances, OU needs to play really good defense as well and slow down Bama's base running. Who's Alabama's best player? Who do we need to watch out for? Well, staying on the theme, Audrey Vandergrift. She wears number 12. She's an outfielder. Team leading .432 average on the season. She's the only Alabama hitter hitting over .370 right now, and she's at .432. She's an everyday player for the Tide. 51 hits so far this year. She's even added 3 home runs to all that speed that she has. 45 of 51 in stolen base attempts this year, which is absolutely insane. So Audrey Vandergrift going to put the ball on the ground, going to use her speed to get on base. And once she gets on base, watch out because as of right now, she's the SEC's leading base stealer. MVP of the week, who you got? As always, drop yours in the comments. Man, there's a lot of different options that I could go with right now that I feel really good about, which is a good place to be with this team. But on the theme of, hey, something really good happened, I think it's going to lead us to even better things moving forward. I'm going to stay on that theme. Ella Parker is the MVP of the week. Oh, yeah. I think that she's back. I think she hits a couple of home runs this weekend. I think she hits some balls in the gap, hits the ball hard. Ella Parker is hitting the ball hard. And there were several weeks where that just wasn't the case with her. She's looked like a different player over the past couple of games. You can't keep a good hitter down for long. How many times do I say that? Well, it's been too long. She's back. She's going to hit the ball hard the entirety of this weekend. Let's go. Ella Parker is the MVP of the weekend. Would a 2-3 weekend at Alabama be considered a success? Yes. Is Alabama going to win the SEC this year? No. Are they going to make it to the Women's College World Series? Maybe. They had a nice run last year. Maybe they can repeat and do that again. Alabama, though, is a solid softball team, and you know they're going to be pumped up to host Oklahoma. So, yes, winning 2 of 3 on the road in the SEC, I think will be considered a success. But here's the thing. I don't think OU's going to win just 2 games. I think they're going to win all 3 games. Yes, I'm buying into it. I do think Wednesday night was a huge turning point this season. I think they win game 1. I think they win game 2. I think they get the sweep over the Alabama Crimson Tide. Yes, I think all 3 games will be very close, But because of Ella Parker at the plate, because of Kasidi Pickering at the plate, because of Gabby Garcia at the plate, what I think Sam Landry is going to do this weekend, the defense, the base running, everything, I think Oklahoma makes the plays necessary to come away from Alabama with a road sweep. What do you think is going to happen this weekend? Where do you agree, disagree with me? As always, drop your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching.